Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. In today's tutorial I'm going to show you a very simple no makeup look on the example of my Andrew Minyard cosplay from All for the Game. I hope you enjoy it and can learn some things and maybe get started out with your first makeup tries with this video, and I hope you enjoy it. We start off with the wig nut around our neck and putting it up over our faces with the broad side lining up with our hairline in the end. I then tuck in the hair that's still standing out so that it's flat before we proceed with another wig cap, which is one of those. Just put this over the other one so that my tape later will not stick to my hair and we have a more secure base for the wig to put on. I then grab said tape and place it on my cheekbones to lift them upwards and give my face a somewhat natural lift. To get the placement right, just try lifting your skin with your fingers until you find an angle where you think, oh yeah, this looks good, and that's exactly where you're going to place your tape then. Here we can see me being a bad example. Don't let hair stick out, it will help the tape come loose and we don't want that, it should last all day. So don't do it like I'm doing it here, just reapply. I then proceed with my primer that I simply apply all over my face like a cream. And to prevent our foundation from becoming greasy, we let it dry before using it. Afterwards, grab your favorite foundation. Mine is the Double Lasting Foundation from Etude House. It is very high covering but sadly only available in pretty light shades. And I applied with a sponge all over my face. If you prefer to use brushes, go ahead, it doesn't make much of a difference, just use whatever you can work best with. I then go on with the concealer from the same brand to cover darker spots like my eye bags, the parts around my nose or below my lips. You can also use concealer to cover up any blemishes that you have, so just try out where you need it. Ideally, you pick a concealer that is a little lighter than your foundation, as it should have a kind of highlighting effect. And of course, like with everything else, we are going to blend it well. Take your time, it doesn't need to be fast, but make it proper, it should last all day. Always remember that. For a matte finish, I then use my powder. This time I only applied it on the areas where I tend to sweat a lot, where my skin is rather on the oily side. You can place it all over your face too, that's what I'm mostly doing. Just try out what works best for you. If you prefer a non-matte finish, that is also completely valid. For my base eyeshadow shade I take this light brown and blend it all over my upper and lower eyelid around my eye to kind of create the canvas where we will keep shading and proceeding with our makeup later. I always include that step because it just makes it so much easier to blend darker shades into it later, and also gives a good guidance on where you roughly want your makeup to be, so even though it isn't much visible in the end, it still makes a difference. With this slightly darker tone, we're then going to increase the depths of the shadows on our outer corners and blend the tone inwards to make a nice little gradient. I'm then going to take a brown eyeliner. This one is a pen eyeliner. You can also use liquid if that's what you can work best with. And I'm going to draw a wing from the middle of my upper eyelid outwards, wing it at the end, and then trace it back towards the middle to make it match our natural eye shape. Make sure to let it fade into your eyelash line. We also want the line to be as straight and clean as possible, so take your time to clean it up, fill it in completely, and just try your best to make it look nice and clean like you would have done it in one swoop. If you can't do that, that's also okay as a beginner, but this is where we want to get, so don't just leave it at messy. With a black kohl liner, I am then going to fill in my upper waterline. This makes it look like my eyeliner would be extended all the way over my eye, even though it doesn't. To make this look a little more dramatic and edgy, I then add some black on my lower waterline as well, but make sure to not fill it in completely, as I feel that's a little too much for the natural look. As you can see, I also just applied on the outer corners and stopped somewhere around the middle. This is just a general makeup technique where you make it darker outwards and lighter inwards, because that just most of the time has a nicer effect on your eyes. With a fine brush and a dark brown, I then shade all the way along my lower lash line. This makes my eyes look straighter and therefore more masculine, and also a little tired, which fits Andrew very well in my opinion. In the same tone, I then extend my hooded eyes so that they match the whole wing and not just above my lid where they actually are. I feel like this looks more natural and more convincing that like our newly drawn eye shape is our actual eye. On to another easy part. I just take this light brown, especially when wearing blonde wigs, because blonde eyebrows just look super unnatural and weird on my face, to be honest. And I simply fill in all of my eyebrows with that. You can get creative with the shape, do what suits you best. In general, having very straight eyebrows will make you look more masculine. Also, having thicker eyebrows will make you look more masculine. But you can try whatever. Don't forget to stay hydrated before you start doing your lip makeup, because once that settles, we're probably not gonna drink again. So drink a sip, take a small break, and then we can keep going with a dark brown eyeliner to extend our outer corners of our mouth along the line of our upper lip. I then take this peach eyeshadow and draw it all over my lips. It was a trend to put concealer on your lips for masculine characters, but honestly, men do have color on their lip. Just don't make it too obvious, shade it darker. but a little more color on our lips usually makes us look way nicer and way more natural. In general, I tend to go for a shade that is slightly darker than our actual lip, and then shade with even darker colors around the inner, line, you know? With this bright beige eyeshadow, I then highlight our inner corners and also blend it towards the rest of the eyeshadow so that it makes a nice gradient. For the contouring, grab a brown palette that matches your skin's temperature. Like, you either have a really warm skin, cool toned skin, or neutral skin. I'm on the neutral to cool spectrum, so make sure it matches up, because otherwise it will worst case look like you just drew some orange in your face. I sadly can't teach you too much about contouring placement, as this varies vastly depending on which face shape you have, and I don't consider myself very proficient in it either, but of course you can take some inspiration from what I'm doing here and try doing the same, and you will eventually figure out what works best for you. And like that, we're at our last step already, which is taking a highlighter and highlighting the parts above our lips, on our cheekbones, and on our nose. Because for me that works best with the placement, and it reflects nicely if you're going to take pictures with flash or like some additional lighting. You know what I'm getting at. Last but not least, the last step wasn't the last. I grabbed my mascara and tried to make my eyelashes black. I am not extending it too much outwards because I don't want to have those super swooped feminine lashes, but it just looks better to have them black in my opinion. And that's it. We're done. With the makeup at least. So then I proceeded to put on my wig, and I don't know why I haven't learned that hack sooner, but if you also struggle to make wigs fit your head and they're always showing your hairline, especially in the back, just take some bobby pins, pin everything in place, and it will look much nicer and fit you way better than if you don't. This can also help with wigs slipping off your head, so it's a very basic advice, but I'm a cosplayer for 10 years and I have just started doing it this year because for some reason it just didn't come to my mind to try that. I tried gluing it down, I tried many things, but this is the answer. Take bobby pins. So that's it, that's the finished look for my Andrew cosplay from All for the Game, a very natural, beginner-friendly look. I hope you enjoyed today's tutorial and could learn something useful. And see you next time! Also, don't forget to like and subscribe, of course. I am publishing makeup tutorials regularly and also have a lot of interesting projects coming in the future. Bye bye!